Konnichiwa.
Joe, how are you?
I finished watching that Shogun that I mentioned a few episodes back.
Oh, okay. I would love that show. That was really good.
It was, yes, it was excellent. And my Japanese is that much better as a result.
Yeah,
So,
I love it connects to our first episode, the haiku. Like the haiku
Yes.
actually featured in that because it kind of had these lovely moments where they actually emoted through their haiku, which seems
right.
very Japanese to me. Like that's the only allowable way to actually show emotion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now I don't think that this episode that we're about to do has any connection to anything Japanese. It just, the
No, I don't
Konnichiwa
think so.
came to me as I was listening to the show theme.
I can redirect because the acting in that was very good. And
nicely
now
done.
I've got a question for you that may be triggering. I'm worried this is going to be another one of those questions where like, oh my God, I didn't. So have you ever been on stage?
Yes.
And if you have, do you remember the first time you were on stage? Because I have a good one. I'm guessing our guest has a good one, but what about you? Because I'm still learning about you, Joe.
Well, it's funny. I was just telling my daughter over supper that for most of my youth, I wanted to be an actor. And I think it is still something that I'm quite interested in. And I do remember the first time that I was on stage. I've been on stage several times. And it's interesting. I was just watching the movie, what's it called? Jay Kelly.
I had to give up on that one, but that's okay.
Oh, really? Okay. I stuck with it to the end. Yeah. But there's without spoiler alert, I guess. There's a scene in that where sort of the legend of the main character is that he goes for an audition with a friend, and the friend is the guy who was supposed to get the part.
It's as far as I got. Yeah.
And then instead, Jay, played by George Clooney, gets the part and then becomes the movie star.
Right.
And except for the movie star part, that happened to me. I went to an audition. It was in Milton for the Milton Players. And my friend had encouraged me to go. And he actually said to me, he said, I'm probably going to get the lead, but it's okay. You'll get some kind of a part or something. And then we did the auditions. And long story short, I got the lead in the part. And well, it wasn't a big deal for my friend because my friend did lots of plays with them. Yeah. And he was like really good about it. He's like, oh, this is great, and then he got a supporting part, and then we just had a great time, and it was an amazing experience. But to answer your question more directly, the first time I was in a play, it was called The Sexton and the Bells. I was in grade 2, and the teacher picked me for the lead.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
Now, what about you?
My first time was kindergarten.
Okay. You beat me on that front.
Yeah. With Little Red Riding Hood. I played the wolf.
Of course.
And Angela Ivanovic, who played Little Red Riding Hood, kept feeding me my lines. And I'm like, Angela, I know the lines. It was literally, I know the line. Stop saying my line.
But she was flashing ahead to your later experience.
Maybe she just was nervous about remembering her lines, so she was trying to. Anyway, I was very annoyed. So anyway, our guest, Judy Cormier, is an actual actor, but I'm hoping this brings you back to maybe where you started.
Yeah. Those are great stories, by the way. My goodness. I don't actually recall back that far being like in kindergarten or elementary school for sure. I was more of a dancer back then, not into theater so much. No. I did do 10 years of dance, ballet and jazz in London with a couple of really, really well-respected dance studios back in the day. Auditioned for the National Ballet School, which didn't get in. My life would have taken a completely different trajectory if it had. So I'm kind of glad that it didn't. But I got into acting more as an adult as a way to kind of, be creative and sort of, I had 3 little kids at the time. I wanted to get out of the house, be with adults and be creative is really what I wanted to do. And and I've always loved performing, more so dance than theater. I was in children's theater summer camps and things like that, certainly all the way growing up. But my first full play as an adult was at the Palace Theatre in London. I don't even know if I want to say the play now because I had no business being on stage. I had no business being in a play. It was a bit of a disaster, I'd say, but it was okay. And it was a learning experience for me. And I can say that over the past 25 years that I've been doing this, I continually learn things from not just the plays that I'm in, but the people that I'm acting with, certainly the directors, and maybe we'll get into more of that in a little bit. But, you know, I remember thinking after that was done, I thought, wow, that was a lot of fun. I'm going to do that again. So of course I went out for another, and I got the lead in that one too, by the way.
Nice.
Nice. So we have something in common. We're all lead actors.
We do. Oh, I look back at it now and think, oh my goodness, part of me, I mean, I don't know if it was a really great script either, but part of me would like to actually go back and redo that again and just do it how I think it probably, give it the love and attention it needs to have that I wasn't prepared to give back then. But anyway, I did learn a lot. Like I said, I learned a lot, formed some excellent friendships back then even too, and that have continued through to today. So yeah, that's
wow.
And it's funny you mentioned konnichiwa, because I don't know any Japanese whatsoever. I've never been to Japan. It's high on my list of places to go someday, but one of my favorite plays actually has that word in it. So I knew exactly what you were saying. It's a play called Love Letters. And it is it's a two-hander. It's meant to be, well, at least when we did it, we read it. So we actually had the book in front of us. The two actors sat on either side of the stage. There's no movement between us. You're stationary at a little podium or a desk or whatnot, and you read through it. And so it's these letters that go back and forth between this man and this woman over the years, and they're both traveling, and one of the words was konnichiwa. So it's like, wow,
lovely.
That one I know.
Lovely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we've done enough of these that we know we need to introduce you sooner rather than later. So I'd like to do that if that's okay.
Yeah.
So Judy Cormier is an actor who lives in London, Ontario, where, as we've already learned, she performs in local theater on a regular basis. She can be found on stage at the Palace Theatre, which is on Dundas Street in London, Ontario, for people who are from London, where she acts with the London Community Players in shows such as Scooped. I think that was your last play.
Yep,
she recently co-directed The Wicked Witches of Oz for the Kettle Creek Players, which is a panto, and I think we're going to talk about that.
Ooh,
she's also known for film work in the region, notably a film production about the Black Donnellys, which, if you're from southwestern Ontario, you would know what that is. But otherwise, unless you've studied Canadian theater, you probably don't know about that story, but it's an amazing story. And Judy played the character of Johanna Donnelly, and that portrayal won you several Best Acting Awards. So we want to learn all about that.
Wow.
And the panto and all the whole thing. Yeah.
Now, before we get into that, I just have to say my old friend Greg DeClute from CBC Radio Drama always wanted to do an adaptation of the Donnelly story.
It's an amazing story. Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
Truly it is.
Yeah.
Maybe we should explain that quickly, if we could, what that's all about. And then we could talk about, your participation in that project.
Yeah, sure. So the Black Donnellys, my goodness. You're right. If you've grown up in this area at all or studied any Canadian history, it's an infamous story. Back in the mid 1800s, a family, the Donnellys. At that point, there were only 4 of them. So there was a husband and the wife and 2 boys. Came over from Ireland and settled in Biddulph Township, which is Lucan area. They were kind of a rough and tumble bunch of
Irish immigrants.
Absolutely. And as it turned out, I mean, I won't get into too much detail, but when one thing leads to another, and the poor matriarch of the family gets kicked off to prison and actually spent some time in the Kingston Penitentiary. Meanwhile, Joanna is at home with a brood of children now, several. So she's got her 2 oldest sons and then several other boys after that. And she's actually pregnant with their final child, who happens to be a girl finally, and she actually gives birth to this daughter and raises her as her husband's off in jail in Kingston. They're quite an infamous family, certainly for this region. There's a lot of folklore about the family. I mean, we will probably never know exactly what they did and didn't do. Yeah. They were blamed for a lot. And I personally think that they were probably easy to blame for a lot of things. And they probably didn't do all the things that they did back then. But they certainly weren't little angels either sure.
Right.
So, and then what happened was February of 1880, a vigilante group of concerned Biddulph Township folks banded together, met secretly. There was an awful lot of high-profile folks apparently in that vigilante group. Again, we don't know. I mean, I suppose the experts have ideas of who those people were, and basically went to their home in the middle of the night and bludgeoned them to death. So,
oh my God.
Yeah, there were 5 of them in the home at the time, including one cousin or a niece, rather, from Ireland, and they were all bludgeoned to death. Quite a story, and I think probably the crucial part of it at the end is that no one was convicted or tried for the murders. So
wow. Yeah.
Because nobody would speak, like nobody would, which is why we don't really know today exactly. I mean, we have theories about who did that, but we don't exactly know. No one was tried and no one was.
Holy cow.
Yeah. And so London writer James Rainey wrote a play about that in the early 70s. And I think it's fair to say it's one of the foundational plays of Canadian theater as it emerged in the 70s. And I don't think it's an exaggeration to underplay the importance of that play. But
and it was a fabulous experience to be part of the film as well, the making of it. We actually got to film on location at the Lucan Museum, which is where they have a replica because they also, the vigilante group burned down their house as well.
Yeah, that's if you missed that part. They killed everybody and then they burned the house down.
Exactly. So you couldn't exactly go back. I mean, there's a plaque on that site. Someone else has rebuilt a house there, but there's a plaque on that site today. But yeah, I mean, I grew up like we studied that. We studied the books, the Black Donnellys. Of course, they weren't called the Black Donnellys back then. They were only called the Black Donnellys because of one of the books that came out, and that was one of the ones I studied in elementary school. I remember taking the Shunpiker tour at London Free Press. Used to do a Shunpiker tour. I remember going out there multiple times to their grave site where they had this huge gravestone for them, and it was just a fascinating story to learn about, and then to be in it and to be Joanna too was
that must have been an amazing experience.
That was incredible.
So how big of a part was that then in
the lead female part, isn't it?
Lead female part for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, she's the matriarch of the family. So I was blessed to be part of that for sure.
And what are the awards that you won? Because I read that and it's like, oh, that's interesting. What?
There were independent film awards. There were several of them that as independent filmmakers, very often they'll submit to lots of different indie film places. And then I actually went to LA to get to on behalf of the team and got a certificate and got to go up and shake hands. And it was a lot of fun.
Wow. And when was that film made?
Oh gosh, I want to say
17 something. I think 2017 was in my notes, but
okay. So it predated the pandemic.
Before that,
So
the pandemic,
definitely before the pandemic. Yeah.
And how did you get the part? I mean, I know you were probably quite experienced as an actor at that point, but was there an audition process? And
yes, there was an audition process. I sent in an audition tape. I had actually worked on something else, another small indie film just prior to that. And somebody knew somebody and, threw my name around and they contacted me to say, would you like to audition for this? And I'm like, are you kidding me? The Donnellys, I grew up learning about them. Absolutely. I will take anything, I'll for sure. So, so I sent in my audition tape and got the role.
That's so exciting. And have you done other films? I think you have done. You've done some TV too, right?
Yeah, I did an episode of Fear Thy Neighbor. That one was I did that just shortly after that. So I'm going to say 2017 maybe. Fear Thy Neighbor. That was filmed in Dundas, Ontario. So that was a really really neat experience as well to get paid to do this, which was exciting. It's always exciting to be paid for things.
Yeah, it is.
Doing. It is. So I did that. And then I've done a commercial recently as well in the last year and a half or so for Parkinson's Society of Southwestern Ontario. I've done some other independent films as well, various folks in and around the London area. So
that is so great.
Yeah.
So, and I want to get back to your acting experience and maybe even talk about your interest in dancing as well. But I know that you came to us also interested in talking about a couple of fairly well-known actors.
Yes. So a couple of inspirational folks of mine, I guess, Judi Dench and Ian McClellan. So, they're just, and I guess Maggie Smith, I could probably throw Maggie Smith in there too. Why not?
Why the hell not?
Why not?
That completes the threesome.
Truly, it does. Truly. To be in a room with those three. I mean,
can you imagine?
Yeah. With Maggie Smith anymore, but wow, like, you can't get a powerhouse trio better than that, I don't think. So I think just for especially for Judi Dench, I mean, she's female, so I look up to her. She's done so much. She's done it all. And she's still going. Now she is suffering from macular degeneration. I know I have read recently that it's difficult for her to see and recognize people, see television, that kind of thing. So, but I do know that she's still doing what she can, and gets people obviously to help her a lot. But you just think about their career and what they've done, and I mean, I look up to them because I also read last year. I read Judi Dench's book, Shakespeare, The Man Who Pays the Rent.
That's awesome.
Really, really good book. In fact, I started listening to the audiobook first, and I think probably about quarter of the way through, I went out and bought it. It's an actor's guide almost. She not only talks about her experience and the roles she's played, and breaks down that character and maybe the play as well, which Shakespeare's not for everybody, and certainly I've never been in anything in any Shakespeare. That's maybe a goal of mine someday, is to be in a Shakespearean play. But she also talks about her experience in it. So she talks about critics and the audition process and different actors she's worked with and the different theater companies she's worked with, and traveling around the world doing these shows that she's done. So I just loved hearing her tell her story in that way. It was very much an interview, and it actually didn't start out being a book, from my understanding. He does a little intro. I can't remember who actually wrote it or asked all the questions. He's also an actor and was on stage with her at times, but it was an interview, and they just set it up as a bunch of interviews that were just going to be published in a newspaper or a magazine publication. And he actually put them all together and made a book. I would recommend it to anyone who just enjoys Judi Dench, but also enjoys acting too.
Okay, so what's your? I think we're going to have to rely on film here, because obviously there's no way you would have seen every Judi Dench performance on stage. So what would be your favorite performance of hers on film?
Probably.
Is that unfair?
Yeah, I mean, I probably haven't seen everything she's done either, but certainly M in James Bond. I mean, that's probably the top one for me. Ian McClellan, I mean, obviously, for me, again, Lord of the Rings, which I have a funny story about that and the panto, because I actually have seen Ian McClellan on stage in England, which was phenomenal, and I can talk about that. And then for Maggie Smith, oh my gosh. I mean, Harry Potter for sure, but Downton Abbey as well. She had some killer lines in Downton Abbey.
Oh, yeah.
And the thing is too, the way her comedic timing and her talent in how she bangs out those comedic lines, like, that's a skill that, she just does beautifully as the Dowager. But
I loved her so much in Room with a View.
Oh, yes.
She's so wonderful in that.
Yes,
like, she's
that's
just
true.
so dry. And
yeah,
I also really liked her in Gosford Park. Is that right? The name of?
Oh, I don't know that one.
That's a Robert Altman film.
Oh, okay.
It's set, so it's like pre Downton Abbey. It's before they did that. So it's the same concept, but it's just, of course, it's a film by that guy. So it's like, it's more satirical. It's more, cutting. And she plays, she's a piece of work in that movie.
I think another one that I enjoyed was The Prime of Miss Jean Brodie.
She's good in that.
Right? She's phenomenal. She was much younger back. Like, it was... Yeah.
She wasn't always an old lady. Everyone needs to remember that. She was, very young once. Yeah.
I agree.
And quite a beauty, actually. Yeah.
Beautiful. So I studied that to get sort of to help with my Scottish accent, I guess, for a role that I played later on. So I mean, those three are just incredible. So definitely inspirations for me.
I agree with you on M, by the way.
Yeah.
I think Judi Dench's M is really quite
Oh yeah.
Because what I love about it is that it hinges over two different bonds, but there's still a character arc that she manages to create. Because I think it's all her. I don't think it's actually in the scripts. Well, it is in the script from the first Daniel Craig Bond on, but like there's actually an arc to her character, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
And that's all acting, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, but I mean, but it has to be informed a little bit by the. I mean, she's got what was she off script or something?
No, I don't think she was off. I don't think she was off script, but my interpretation from her in she's kind of I think she was kind of written to be kind of like a Harridan in was a great Irish actor, Pierce Brosnan, great Irish actor, and I loved his Bond, by the way. Don't get me wrong, but like I think that's how she was cast and written, but she gave it some nuance that was wonderful.
Oh yeah,
and then when the next Bond film writers took over, she just took off. Like it was such an amazing character.
Yeah, she really did. It really took off.
Yeah, and I think the Daniel Craig Bond franchise was, head and shoulders, I think, above anything since From Russia with Love, anyway. So. Yeah. I can't believe we haven't talked about Bond really on this podcast before.
Actually, that's amazing to me that we have never talked about James Bond. Okay, but I have a question for you, Judy, which is like, it's an unfair question because you're like trying to imagine how just Judi Dench do her job. But what are some of the things that you would use to get into creating a character like that?
Yeah, that is a good question. So, I mean, obviously, as you said, not knowing her exact process. However, she does talk about a little bit of that in her book. So, really, just a couple of things. So, listening, being still and listening. So, I think that that's something. And again, if I go back 25 years ago, there was more line memorization than really settling into a role and into a character and understanding what's motivating that character, why they're saying every single word that they say. Again, was lost on me 25 years ago, but I've come to learn that over the years. So that's definitely something that I would take away from her, is really understanding the text and being vulnerable and listening to your fellow actors, being a giving actor as well. She's talked about that too, being open to experimenting with your fellow actors on stage during the rehearsal process. So those are a couple of things that she's talked about in her book that I would definitely take away.
Is there something that you know now? Well, and I'm sure that there is, but is any one thing in particular that you would identify that you know now that you didn't know when you first started?
If you could go back in time and tell your earlier self.
I mean, it is really about just understanding the text, understanding again every word, and I've said this. I've actually said this to the actors that I've recently directed as well. If you don't understand a word that you're saying, or you don't understand, a phrase that is said, we've got Google now too. I mean, 25 years ago, we didn't necessarily have that. So you would be relying on your director's interpretation of the text and of the script as well. But really diving in and understanding, and you'd be surprised how many people don't do that and just remember the lines, just memorize the lines, go over them and just say them without it gives you a deeper understanding of who you are and as the character, obviously, and informs and provides that meaning that you need in order to convey what you're trying to convey. I think another thing that Judi Dench does really well is shows, how do I put this? So she shows in her face and her actions before she speaks. Yeah. So, she will not giving too much dramatic pauses, because you don't necessarily want that. It slows down the pace of your script, but really sometimes letting things settle for a second and then reacting to them with the words. So I think that that's her. Maybe it's a little bit of direction too, I'm sure, but the script isn't likely telling her that. That's her informing herself according to what she's getting from her fellow actor. Yeah.
That's got to be so different theater to screen, right? Like the difference between the two, because I often think that that reaction's happening too fast, but that's when I'm watching TV or watching a movie, and it's just like, but that's just the cut, like that they've just cut early and they've cut too quickly and they haven't let the actor absorb the information.
Oh, that must be so annoying for the actor.
Actually, I mean, I'm not an actor, but like I did do acting classes, so I was an actor for a while, but I was like, oh, come on, man, you can't cut that fast. That's too fast.
Yeah. 100%. I think there's something to be said. And I mean, I haven't done a lot of film work, but the film work I have done was a wonderful experience. But I think for me, the stakes are higher in theater. You don't get a second take.
Yeah.
You don't get to pause and rewind and say, just a second, I want to do that again. Like you're laying it out all on the line, and you have a different, this is the other thing too, you have a different audience every night and a different show every night. So
you do have another chance in that way.
You can do it again tomorrow or
totally,
next Friday or whatever.
But it still won't be the same because it won't be the same audience. So things that you did last night that did go well, you'd be like, oh, that worked. That got a reaction. That got a laugh. And then tomorrow night you try it and you get nothing.
Yeah. That was,
You're thinking about it all over again. So
weird?
That's what I love about it. And I think it's the immediacy of it too. And it's the, when sometimes, and I've been on the acting side of it, maybe a couple of times, because it's generally, if it's a really deep subject matter, I was in a cast of Trojan Women a few years ago.
And, that's a great play.
Oh my goodness. I was so lucky and blessed to be in that show. I was in the chorus, and talk about heavy subject matter.
Yeah, it's heavy. It's
really, really. And I mean, we started it, the production was at the Arts Project, downtown London. Mm-hmm. We started it in the actual art gallery. So the one of the guards came out and did a speech outside of the theater proper. And then as the audience is coming in, those of us who were in the chorus, there were 9 of us Trojan women who were obviously very upset because our husbands were off at war. And so we spent pretty much, I think it was a 90-minute show. There was no intermission, 90-minute show. We probably spent 80 minutes of it crying and wailing and keening and sobbing and all of it. And so the audience comes in, and of course they're taking off their coats and putting down their bags and turning off their phones as we're wailing in the corners. It was, I mean, it was incredible.
Oh, I'm sorry I missed that. I would have loved to see that. Oh my God.
It was incredible though, because the audience was immersed in it the minute they got into the theater. So they were, like I said, taking off their coats and going, what's going on?
Why are these women crying so much?
Exactly.
I'm just out here for a nice night of theater.
Well, hopefully they weren't thinking that, knowing they were going to see
Screw
Trojan
that.
Women.
You're seeing Trojan Women, buddy.
That's right.
Euripides takes no prisoners.
That's right. It was, but there were times that, though, part of that, you could hear a pin drop. And at the end, there were some nights when the audience literally, there was a pause between the end of the show and when we were starting to do our bows, before the audience kind of went, oh, it's done. Oh,
it's over. We did it, guys. We survived.
Yeah, 100%. We felt like we broke the audience. Like they didn't know what to do. It was incredible to be part of that. Oh, it was like, I get shivers still thinking about it. It was really a great experience. And I learned a lot from that group.
So who directed that? Because that sounds like that was amazing direction.
Yeah, Eva Blayhut. She's absolutely incredible. I don't know if she does much right now, but and so speaking of a time when I was an audience member and felt the same way, was her performance of Medea. She was outstanding. I mean, when she came out with her hand red with blood and put it in the middle of the floor. And I think the audible gasp around us just went, oh, when you realize that she's murdered her children. And you could hear a pin drop. I mean, that's, and when you're in a room with a whole bunch of other people, strangers, most of them you don't know, all witnessing the same thing live, and it's like you're breathing together and you're consuming this, you're in it together. it's just a beautiful thing. And that's I think what I love about theater, no matter whether you're doing something as deep as those or a lighthearted comedy and you're all laughing together. You're kind of, it's the connection with humans, not just on the stage and the audience, but amongst you.
So you've directed as well, right? And do direct, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I've done.
Do you have a preference, acting versus directing, or dancing?
Well, not dancing so much anymore. I love dancing for sure, but I wish I could still dance. I think probably acting is much less work than directing.
Okay, yeah.
That's a good answer. That's the right answer. It's less work. Just tell me what to do and I'll do it.
Exactly. All I'm responsible for is me. I mean, I'm an actor. My job is to learn my lines, understand why I'm saying them, create the character, all of that stuff. I love putting that work into it. I love the research of characters and scripts. I love that part. And the times when I think back to the shows that I've done, the times that we've dug into that are the times that I've loved the show even more than I could possibly love it.
Oh, that's very cool.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. I missed my calling in, being a dramaturg or something, because I'm not academic about it at all, but I love learning that, about the time periods and what happened and who these people were and just everything about whatever time period that I'm working on.
Yeah.
I love it.
Dramaturgy is okay. So that's an interesting thing, because like I'm in the playwrights lab at the Grand, and I'm learning about dramaturgy, because when I went to theater school, I mean, there was dramaturgy, but it wasn't a big thing. Like, it was just like this extra thing that sometimes happens, but now it's like a mainstream part of Canadian theater is dramaturgy.
So how would you describe dramaturgy exactly?
My description would be as a specialized kind of editing. So it's I met with a really interesting dramaturg this week, actually, as it happens, to work on my play, and he liked the play. We had a great conversation to see if we're going to work together, and we're definitely going to work together. And what was interesting for me was that he was talking about things that I know, but in a totally different way. So he's like, I want you to do another rewrite and think about the beats. I'm like, okay, I know what you mean by that. Think about the beats first, and then think about the engines that are running the characters. I'm like, okay, that's a great metaphor for thinking about a character. Yeah. So that's good dramaturgy, I think. It's just like giving the writer a bit more fuel for the fire. And because I'm now charged up to do another draft of this, because I know it's not quite ready. He described it as a good middle draft. Nice. So I know it's not ready, but I now think I have the, fuel to do the next. And I think that's what a good dramaturg does at the start. And then as we go on, I think what we're going to do is more like a line edit. So if you've done, you do line edits, Joe, like that's your job now.
Yeah. It's one of my jobs.
One of your many jobs, one of your many hats. So then it gets into line by line, sort of like connecting the line specifically with the rhythm of what the character's saying, and does it make sense with the character and what the character wants to achieve. Yeah. So it's like editing. It really is editing, but it's a very specialized form of editing that's thinking about how is this going to work on a stage, and how is an actor going to work with this, and how is a director going to work with this.
Mm-hmm.
So Judy, did you say that you do some playwriting as well, or?
No, I haven't done any playwriting. I've done creative writing, just for fun. But yeah, no playwriting yet. However, I'm co-directing again. So I just finished co-directing, as you mentioned, The Wicked Witches of Oz as pantomime in St. Thomas. And we are, my co-director, Jessica Fedev, and I are going to co-direct again next year. It was such a wonderful experience that we're going to do it again. We had such a blast doing it this time. And so we're going to try our hand at writing something for this year. So,
for the next, is it going to be a panto as well?
It's going to be another panto, yes.
Okay.
She's already got it started, so we are going to meet over the Christmas break and get together and noodle some things around. So yeah, we're really looking forward to next year. We've got a fun troupe of people that are waiting and eager to hear what we're going to do.
So some of our listeners will need to know what a pantomime is.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So can you do that?
I'd love to tell you, because you know what? Canadian audiences have no idea what panto is.
It's so English.
Well, unless you're from Toronto, because there's
Ross Petty.
Yes, there's been lots of great pantos there. Yeah,
100%. I've seen a couple of them for sure. There's also a good one in. They do them in Bob Cajun as well. Globus Theatre in Bob Cajun.
Oh, cool.
They do a panto as well. Wow. She's the lady who runs that is a British lady too. So I just saw her.
I'd love to do one down here in New Brunswick, but
you should.
I bet I bet it go over really well.
Oh, I think So tell us about your experience doing pantos.
So first of all, what is a pantomime?
So what is pantomime? So pantomime, panto for short, is a traditional form of a genre of theater that is done in England, of course, as you said. It has a couple of things that are key that you absolutely have to have. So one of them is you take a fairy tale or a folk tale and basically turn it on its head. So you'll take, Cinderella, for example. We did that last year. So you of course have Cinderella. You of course have, the evil stepsisters and the evil stepmother. But you'll also have other additional characters that aren't in the traditional Cinderella story. Buttons, exactly, 100%. Buttons. You'll have, you won't maybe have the mice. I know, right?
I saw Cinderella this summer at Hero Country Playhouse. So yeah.
Oh, I love it. Yes. So we always throw in these characters. Yeah. Another thing that we always do is it's definitely not your Disney version for sure, but it's always heartwarming. It's got a lovely little story there, a little lovely ending, a good feel-good ending. It's for families, definitely for children. If you've got children that like to bounce around in their seats, they're totally welcome at Panto. In fact, we love them. So a couple of other things. There's always a dame. So the dame is generally played by a man. It's best played as a man by a man. And generally speaking, the lead, say male, so your prince would generally then be played by a female. So there's these gender crossing roles. You can pretty much do that throughout, really. I mean, you can do whatever you like. Panto's kind of open that way, which is why we enjoy doing it as well. But you generally have the male is a dame and the lead, traditionally male role, would be a female. You also break the fourth wall. So it's very much participating with the audience. We encourage, and this is where Canadian audiences
probably suck hard.
Terrible. I hate to say it, but we're such good, quiet, respectful theater goers. Brilliant all the rest of the time. But
it was so noticeable in Cinderella. Yeah.
So what we learned was Jessica and I we're new at directing. We aren't new to panto. We've done lots of them, but sometimes the pantomime lends itself to that in the script. So for example, Buttons will come on and say, "Hey, boys and girls," and then kind of encourage the audience to chat back and say hi. And then they'll say, "Now, when the evil witch comes out, I need you to say boo," or whatever. So
wait.
Yeah.
Who the heck is Buttons?
Buttons was the best friend of Cinderella.
Yes.
In the version I saw. And she was the panto enabler, basically. So she came out and explained. So the first scene happened, and then it was just like nobody responded, because that's not what we do in a theater, right? We don't yell back at things. And then Buttons came out and said, "No, you don't understand. When she comes on, you've got to boo her because she's really bad. And here's the reasons why she's bad. And then when this guy comes on, you got to yay him," or whatever. And ours was fabulous. She was also so necessary, because she was the person who was giving everybody time to change costumes and change the sets. Like the curtain would come down and she would come. So
she's breaking the fourth wall.
So she's breaking the fourth wall, and that's pantos. And so you have to get the audience involved, and she was all about getting the audience involved. She was amazing, actually.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. I wished I'd seen that.
AJ Bridal, I'm not sure how to pronounce her last name. Okay. She was really, really amazing. And there's a long break near the end of the show where there's a big set change. And she brought up a bunch of kids.
Awesome.
As part of the whole thing. Like, I need 3 brave volunteers and all the kids. She's, no, I just want kids. And then like we got 4 because like she got 3 girls to come up, and then this guy came up and joined them, and she was amazing. She just like vamped really well. She was at their level. She was really charming.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's like that part of it is amazing. Yeah.
And that's a little bit of improv too there, because you don't know what these kids are going to say. Plus you don't know what the audience is going to yell back. Very often we ask the audience questions, like in the panto we just did. You know, we had a section where we needed to open a door, and we said, you know, what magic words do you know? You know, of course, through the rehearsal process, we're trying to give them all the things that we think kids might say these days, you know, but instead of not just
6,
like
7.
Well, I was just gonna say that 6, 7. If you know, I wasn't sure if you guys knew about it. I don't. My children are much.
I am out of the loop. I don't know what is that
on Tumblr. So I'm up on this stuff. Yeah.
Oh, good for you. Okay, so you know, so you would have loved the reference because we use that in the play.
That's great.
The kind of thing you do in panto. Is I mean, years ago when Baby Shark song was out, I know we that was a reference to that. So there's always
I'm so out of touch.
It makes you feel like you are, really, because you've got all these children that are around that are telling you all these newfangled words or whatever that they've come up with, and you have no idea. So a couple of other things in the professional versions, we don't do this so much in community theater because it can get a little bit messy, but there's generally a pie in the face. We did do a pie in the face gag 1 year, and then we had the kids come out and sing "It's a Hard Knock Life" while as they're cleaning it up. So that was a lot of fun. But the thing is, you've got to really also do pie in the face, not with the dame who's got a ton of makeup and a wig and all that.
Yeah.
You've got to pie in the face, maybe the buttons,
the henchman or something.
The henchman, exactly. Somebody who doesn't have a ton of makeup that they have to reapply after the pie in the face gag, but. There's something like that. We wanted to use water guns. There's also water guns that sometimes, you know, and they spray each other and then they spray the audience. Of course, the audience is all going, ah. We didn't do that last year. Instead of water guns, we actually fashioned leaf blowers. And on the end of the leaf blower, we put a paint roller. And on the paint roller, we put a toilet paper roll. So when we turned on the leaf blowers, the toilet paper went everywhere into the audience. And of course, you know, the kids love it. They love those types of gags. There's all kinds of silliness, slapstick. There's lots of jokes in it. We try and also, you know, we'll make fun of Elmer down the street or London. Nobody wants to go to London. Who wants to go to London? You know, that kind of thing. Lots of those regional type jokes as well, which will work anywhere in New Brunswick. You just say,
you just replace the name. Fredericton. Who wants to go to Fredericton?
Yeah.
Exactly. So the lady that actually brought Panto to St. Thomas, Leslie, she actually lives in Nova Scotia now. And so she started them here in 2012 with Cinderella. She did them right up until COVID. The last one we did was Puss in Boots, and I was Puss in that one. It was
nice.
Just a riot of a time. Then she moved out to Nova Scotia, and she's actually brought them there. So she did Cinderella last year. So if you're ever in that neck of the woods, I think she's going to do one next year as well. They didn't do it this year, but next year they will, I think.
Man,
so they're just so there's a few other things. I mean, there's lots of, like you said, booing for the bad guy. We always want them to boo, and there's lots of banter with the audience when you're the bad guy. You got to banter back and forth with them and cheering for the good guy. There's a "It's Behind You" scene where the ghoulies or the monsters are behind, and you. I remember one year we sang "Itsy Bitsy Spider," and of course the 3 of you are sitting there, and generally the dame is on there too. So the premise is that 2 of them get scared off by the ghoulie or the monster behind them, and the dame who's left scares off the monster. So that's kind of the joke there, because of course the dame spends most of their time saying how beautiful they are and how wonderful they are and how lovely they are, and they always look awful. So or at least, you know, I guess like a dame would with their high eyebrows and crazy wigs, and they're so colorful, high energy, just a lot of fun. I mean, it's for families, and the kids love it. So, and the funny thing is, in England, I say the kids love it. The kids love it here, and I think the adults too. There's lots of adult type humor in it as well, which is a lot of fun.
There's lots of double entendres, and
because it works at multiple levels.
Yeah, it can. Yeah, it's like
Totally.
it's good cartoon kind of thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I know that my friend Dave and I enjoyed screaming at the bad guy in Cinderella, like screaming things like "We hate you" or like "People, we find you very unattractive." Or, your children don't care for you at all. Things like that, just it was fun. And people around us were looking like, what are you saying? Because we're screaming this at the top of our lungs.
That's a good point, because we did. So Jess and I did these 4 performances. We directed the cast through the 4 performances just in November. And we did hear on the 3rd night that there were some disgruntled sort of audience members not realizing what it was and saying, how rude these people around us are booing these
God.
characters.
Not in on the joke.
Completely upset about it. So we thought, oh my goodness, we don't want people to be upset. This is supposed to happen. So the next night we had a preamble before the show, and I announced what panto is and what we expect, and had the audience give them a trial run, I guess,
that
run
buttons moment.
Exactly. Because in this panto, we didn't have that buttons moment. And so I said to Jessica, next year, either the next years, whenever we do it again, over the years, we'll either do that preamble or bake that into the script. Which is into
the script.
Yeah.
So you've got another panto coming up, and what else is on the horizon for you in terms of all this kind of work?
We've got next year, maybe I can announce what we're thinking of doing.
Yes.
Something new. Yeah. We're thinking of doing Hansel and Gretel next year. So that's a new one for both of us.
Excellent.
We've been in lots of them over the years: Aladdin, Cinderella, Snow White, Sleeping Beauty.
As a panto.
Sailor. Yeah, all of these as panto. Puss in Boots.
Okay, that's going to be more challenging, I think.
And now I have to ask.
That's a dark story.
It is. However, we'll of course have it'll be all happy in the end. It'll all, the bad guy won't be as bad as it can be. I mean, the Brothers Grimm were pretty grim.
Yeah, and the bad guy isn't going to be burned to death at the end of the show.
No, she won't be thrown into the oven. Well, maybe she will be, but she'll come back.
Yeah, she's not going to die. Yeah.
Exactly.
So I have to ask. So pantos now have been done for years and years and years, all over the place. But it seems like when they're done, they're typically done with fresh scripts, like you talked about inserting modern references and whatnot. Are they ever done like, there was a great panto done in 76. We're going to redo that one. Does that ever happen?
Sure, it does. But you would just insert those new references.
Right.
Now.
Okay. Yeah.
Unless those old references worked, but all of those references in there, you would use whatever you need for that area. And the actual scripts say that you can do that. So you're given some leeway when you actually purchase the rights for the script.
Oh, I see. So you are purchasing the rights for previous
Absolutely.
scripts. I was thinking that Mark should just write you a panto.
Yeah.
And then,
Mark.
100%. Yeah. Trojan Women, the panto.
Yeah. That would be interesting.
I like a challenge.
I'd like to see that.
But I feel like all the Ross Petty pantos were new. They were fresh and original. And
probably. Yeah. I mean, the one last year was Wizard of Oz. They did, and they had Plum Bum in that one. So there's another example.
Yeah.
I mean,
Buttons.
they had Dorothy. They had, of course, Lion, Tin Man, Scarecrow, but they had Plum Bum, who was played by a man, Dan Chamroy, who was in, if you've seen Something Rotten in Stratford last year, he was the seer in that. I don't know if you saw that.
No, I didn't see that.
I'm too far away from Stratford these days, unfortunately.
I didn't see that one, but I do like Stratford a lot. Yeah.
Well, you can.
I'm amazed we haven't talked to a Stratford, but anyway.
Highly recommend seeing Something Rotten. It is outstanding. It's coming back next year. It did so well. Not everybody in the world has seen it yet, so they're bringing it back.
Okay, that's good. Maybe next year I can see it.
Really good.
Yeah. Mark, any final, as we wind up, any final thoughts on...
Well, this has been a delight. I love meeting you and talking to you, and I'm really looking forward to your next panto.
Well, thank you.
Yeah,
me too.
I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm going to have to make a special trip up to Ontario too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Visit Southwesto,
Yeah. Southwesto Panto.
Now, I want to ask you too, before we part ways, Cormier, that's a name that you hear a lot back here in New Brunswick and Prince Edward Island. Do you have roots in the Atlantic?
No, I don't. I don't personally know. I don't have any, but I know that there's a lot of them out there for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, it's not that common around here though. Definitely in New Brunswick.
No, it's why I checked. I mean,
yeah. Cormier. Oh.
Yeah.
Cormier. I assumed it was Cormier, but
Canadian. Yeah.
Sometimes you use the French pronunciation and people get very upset.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I don't get upset.
It's always Cormier down here.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So, Judy Cormier, thank you very much for being on our podcast, Recreative.
Thank you. Thank you for having me today. It was fun.
You've been listening to Recreative, a podcast about creativity and the works that inspire it. Recreative is produced by Mark Rayner and Joe Mahoney for Donovan Street Press Inc. in association with Monkey Joy Press. Technical production and music by Joe Mahoney, web design by Mark Rayner. You can support this podcast by checking out our guests' work, listening to their music, purchasing their books, watching their shows, and so on. You can find out more about each guest and all of our past episodes by visiting recreative.ca. That's re-creative.ca. You can contact us by emailing Joe Mahoney at donovanstreetpress.com. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks for listening.